Hello, everyone, and welcome back to today's episode of Tolkien Tuesday. Now, today is another special episode because it is our Drunkmarillion read-through. Part 2. We might have a Part 3. I don't know how far I'm going to get, because now we get a lot of detailed stories, which we're going to have to cover. So, for today, I'll be drinking this red Moscato. And now, I know what you're saying. Paul, why are you wasting our time with this? Why are you wasting our time with a simple, sweet red wine? Last time, you mixed vodka and Baja Blast. But, dear viewer, I'm not going to be so simple. You see, every great beverage needs a twist, you know? I have wine, and you know what else I have? I have this large bucket. Ah, for fuck's sake. There. I have this large bucket of Red Vine's licorice. So, I am going to be drinking my fine Moscato through a Red Vine straw. So, not bad. Oh, that is pretty good, actually. Let me just... It helps because it's a very sweet wine. I will say, that verges on grape juice. I'm just going to say, that is just very alcoholic grape juice. I don't know if I'm going to need these whiskey shots to get drunk. Anyway, but yeah, thank you all for joining me today. And so today, we'll be covering, get rid of that. Anyway, yeah. So, today we are going to be starting out with the ruin of Beleriand. Now, if we remember last time, when we left off, basically, the Noldor had arrived, everything was put in order. Morgoth, the enemy, was pushed back north up here. Let me just pull that up. Was pushed back north to where he couldn't really cause any real trouble. And so, everything was fine. Everything was saved. Huzzah! We're all safe. The elf lords established themselves in their various domains. The hidden realms of Nargothrond and Gondolin were founded. The Girdle of Doriath was established. Though that was done quite a long time previously. But, and Fingolfin was now High King of the Noldor in Middle-earth. And he ruled from up here in Hithlum. And so, but the big thing was that they could not forget where Morgoth was. They could not risk it. So, they set a watch on this large grass plain called Ardgallen, which later becomes Anfauglith, which you will see. And they watched Thangorodrim, which is his fortress to the north, which isn't featured on this map. But they set up various watchtowers up here in Dorthonion. You have the descendants of Beor the Old living here in Dorthonion and helping the sons of the brothers of Finrod Felagund, who was Beor's good elf friend. And so they established some watchtowers up here. You have Fingolfin. He orders these mountains, the Arid Wethrin, to be fortified. He creates this fortress of Ithel Sirion as a kind of watchtower. And then, of course, you have the sons of Feanor over here at the March of Mithros. And they essentially set themselves up around Himring. And yeah, everything gets ready. So, centuries pass. Humans get used to living around elves. Different humans kind of swear their loyalty to different elf lords, but the elf lords are like, okay, well, you need leaders of your own, because we don't think it's right that we should directly govern you. And so, different lords are brought up, and so, in the end, you have this watch on the north. But over time, as the centuries pass, Morgoth is biding his time. He doesn't need to leave Thangorodrim. He can send orc forays out a back door to cause mischief somewhere else, but he doesn't leave his fortress. He's scared. I think Tolkien at some point says one of the big things is that of the Valar, he's the only one who knows fear. So, pardon me. So yeah, Angrod and Aegnor, they've kind of established themselves up here. Ooh, I think it's Aegnor. Yeah, Aegnor. Fun fact, he is one of the only kind of recorded elves we have in the Legendarium of Lord of the Rings. He's the only male elf to fall in love with a human female named Andreth, who is a kinswoman of Beor. And they fall in love, but it's never really meant to be. Or he chooses that it's never meant to be. Andreth has a lot of upset feelings. There is this work Tolkien wrote, it sounds more like one of the Greek dialogues, really, but it's very interesting. Called the God, what's it called? Let me look this up. Andre. Oh shit. Yes, thank you, Rackloss. Rackloss will be my Tolkien scholar in chat, keeping track of it. Yes, the Athrabeth Finrod a Endreth. And it's like a dialogue between the two about immortality, the mortality of humans, how elves and humans rarely are meant to be together. But Finrod insists that he truly did love her, and she knows he did, but she is very angry at the fact that he chose not to be with her, and instead goes to die in this upcoming battle. And it's a very interesting read. I'd suggest you read it. He even wrote it with Bilbo having written notes in the margins, like you're reading a book Bilbo kept track of. And so that is a very interesting concept of it all. So yeah, the elves are basically watching Ardgallen. Morgoth isn't budging, and so they kind of settle into the siege of Thangorodrim. And during this time, people prosper, with him gone, the rest of the world is kind of, nature is healing. But people are flourishing, the port cities of Brithambar and Eglarist are growing bigger, more humans have started coming in from the east to join their brethren here. Everything's good. The dwarves are doing quite a bit of trade with everyone in the west. It's great. But then one night, it's dark. The watchfires watching Ardgallen have burned low. The watchmen are tired. It's 4 in the morning. No one's really on their A game. When suddenly, out of Thangorodrim, this massive wall of fire erupts, and it just comes down the plains, burning everything, so that Ardgallen, which was once this large, lush green field in front of Thangorodrim, is burned away. This massive plains, it's just burned, and all that's left is charred ash. So then it's called Anfauglith, which it means choking dust or something like that. But with the fire come Balrogs, who start assailing the besiegers, and with them are massive armies of orcs, and they're all just kind of plowing into them. And this has caught the besiegers completely off guard. They weren't expecting this, and so. Oh, and one of the big things that causes chaos is Glaurung. Now, Glaurung is the first dragon that Morgoth sort of creates. Now, dragons are a very interesting aspect because Tolkien mentions how Morgoth can never truly create, and yet he creates dragons, which we soon later find out are, like, they're cunning, they're intelligent, they can talk, they are people of a kind. Oh. Sec. Delicious. Anyway. And so, yeah, this is actually a very short part. I'll be checking my book for details if I forget anything. But Glaurung joins them, the first dragon. That's where I was getting back to. Sorry. Ugh. Wow, it's almost as if I'm drinking. Anyway, so Tolkien says Morgoth cannot create. And yet, Morgoth creates dragons which are intelligent and cunning. Now, there's an implication maybe that he can create, like, things that think, but they don't have souls, which I have sometimes thought of as, because Morgoth has been told to be akin to Aule, the craftsman god, the god of the earth. So you're like, well, he's got to be good at, like, creating things. And I think the dragons are not so much created as they are crafted. I think that in this, like, it's almost as if, like, he creates the first kind of AI, artificial intelligence. That dragons are like these machine kind of creatures. That, yeah, they kind of live and breathe, but they're also, like, their scales are super hard, almost like metal. And so, I think it's just a very interesting concept, because I believe in one of the first written down accounts of the fall of Gondolin, which we'll cover later, like, the dragons are described as, like, war machines that are, like, belching smoke, and they're almost like the tanks of World War I that Tolkien would have seen. So, I think it's a very interesting concept, maybe, to think of dragons almost more as kind of like robots, sort of. Like, they were created by Morgoth to be these weapons of war, but they have these minds of their own, which, you know, without his constant oversight, can go a bit overboard. But anyway, honeybee, these are fuck off. Red vines are delicious. Anyway, I'm gonna keep drinking my wine out of it. Oh shit, it's sunken in. Oh fuck. Okay, well maybe not. Anyway, so massive devastation. Many elves and men are killed. The siege is broken. The ones who are most devastated are the sons of Finarfin, Angrod, and Aegnor. Aegnor dies, which is why Andreth later on is so pissed, because he went away to battle without even bothering to try and marry her. But they both die. The men under their command are pushed back far here into Dorthonion. They have to abandon their watchtowers. The eastern side suffers as well, but the western sides, but they manage to hold on. But the sons of Feanor, the march of Mithros is broken. They are forced to pull back and away. Orcs begin to spill through the pass of Aglon into Himlad, where Carufin and Kelagorm have traditionally been. And they're forced to flee. And just everything is chaos. It looks like Morgoth is just gonna come out swinging, and he's just gonna knock him out with one punch. So Fingolfin, he's looking at all this, and he's like, everything is lost. All these people are dead. I'm going to have, like, honorable combat. That's how I'm going out. So he puts on his armor, he gets his sword, and he marches north all the way to Thangorodrim. And he gets to the doors, and he's like not afraid. This is the king of the Noldor who has seen the light of the trees. He is not afraid, and he pounds on the gates of Thangorodrim so hard that some of the orcs tremble deep down within. And he's saying, "Morgoth, come out! Come out so I can kick your ass!" And like all the orcs are like, "Oh shit." And then the earth starts to shake as Morgoth himself, the Dark Lord, the original Dark Lord, emerges from Thangorodrim. Now this is the only time he will emerge from his fortress until he is finally defeated. Like, and there's good reason for this. But let me just pull up a picture to show you guys what this is gonna kind of look like. Oh. That's too small. Yeah, this works actually. Well, actually, oh, I do like this one. So yeah. Morgoth is trembling as well, and he is like going out to war. He wields Grond, the hammer of the underworld, which is what later the orcs named the battering ram, which destroys the gates of Gondor in Return of the King. And he and Fingolfin fight, and like you're expecting him to just wipe the floor with Fingolfin, but like every time he like swings down his hammer at Fingolfin, Fingolfin's able to kind of like hold it off with his shield and fight back. And they're fighting, and he actually manages to wound Morgoth as and like finally like Morgoth kind of gets him down onto his knees and like jams his foot against his neck to break it. But as he does, Fingolfin brings up his blade and cuts into the arm of one sec. Oh, sorry. Thought that was a phone call. So he brings up his sword and just jams it into the leg of Morgoth. And Morgoth will walk with a limp for essentially the rest of the war because of this wound Fingolfin gave him. But finally, he breaks Fingolfin's body and gets ready to just feed it to his wolves. But just then the eagles come. And they kind of make him, like, they force him back into Thangorodrim. And they take away Fingolfin's body. And they take it to Gondolin, I believe, where Turgon buries his father at a tomb in the mountains. And so, from that point on, Fingon, the elf who saved Maithros, he becomes the High King of the Noldor, now that Fingolfin has died fighting Morgoth. Fingolfin, I find it ironic that Feanor leaves Valinor to fight Morgoth, never gets the chance. He just gets ganked by Balrogs. But then you have Fingolfin just come up and just fucking wound Morgoth, and that's just like, it's pretty devastating. But yeah. So that's the battle of Fingolfin versus Morgoth. At this point, things are looking kind of grim for the people of Beleriand. Their watches on Anfalgolith have been decimated. The March of Maithros is now being penetrated constantly by orcs who are raiding the land south of there. You have over here is Tol Sirion, which on Tol Sirion was built the first Minas Tirith. There are two Minas Tiriths. There is Minas Tirith, the Watchtower, which was built to watch this pass here. And it was built by Finrod, and he ordered his brother Orodreth to kind of be its steward and keep a watch on there. And then there is Minas Anor in Gondor, which later becomes Minas Tirith. But this watchtower basically gets taken over by orcs during the attacks, and Sauron takes it for his own, and he lives there. And I believe it's called Tower Ungarhoth. Tower Ungarhoth, I think. Tol Ungarhoth, I think. Oh, Tol, I think. And it's like the island of werewolves, because Sauron is really big on werewolves, apparently. But yeah, Sauron takes up his abode there, which kind of becomes like their forward camp into making attacks into southern Beleriand. And so, everything is looking bad. Into this, we start the tale of Beren and Luthien. So, let me pull up. Oh, nope. There we go. So Beren's father is Barahir, and he's the leader of the people of Beor, who kind of settled here and helped watch keep a watch on Thangorodrim. And so, with the utter devastation of the Battle of Sudden Flame, which is what that kind of breaking out of Thangorodrim is later called, he and most of his people flee. But Barahir, his son, and I believe 12 other men kind of become outlaws. They're doing like guerrilla warfare against the orcs who are starting to inhabit this part of the land. And so they found a small little refuge by this lake called Eluin, where you can see the stars. And essentially, like stars are always reflected in it. And they are constantly leading attacks. Now, there is a character in this called... there's one of the, essentially, guerrilla fighters is called Gorlim. I think it's Gorlim. One sec. Yes, Gorlim the Unhappy. Now, Gorlim is an honorable man. He serves Barahir proudly. He's one of his main men. But his wife, he believes... his wife was essentially captured, and he believes she was killed by Sauron's forces. Now, Sauron himself has been put in charge of finding these bandits, or wherever they're hiding, essentially eliminate them. But Gorlim has this habit of going back to his old homestead and just kind of reminiscing of the times when he and his wife were happy. But the servants of Sauron managed to spy on him doing this, and they notice this is a pattern with him, that he constantly comes back. So they tell Sauron, and Sauron devises a plan. So one day Gorlim returns to the homestead to reminisce and think about his wife, when suddenly he sees her in the window, a specter of her just in the window, and she kind of pulls back away from the window so he can't see her anymore. So he rushes into the homestead, and immediately orcs pounce on him and basically chain him up. And Sauron's in there waiting for him. And so Gorlim, of course, they torture him, and he's like, "No, I won't tell you anything, go to hell." But Sauron then kind of smiles and goes, "Well, I don't suppose you'd want to see your wife then, who I've captured." And he kind of reveals to Gorlim that, yes, his wife is not dead, but she is his prisoner. And if he tells him where Barahir and the other bandits are hiding, he will spare him and he will reunite him with his wife. And so Gorlim, having been tortured and just kind of on the edge of sanity for a little bit, goes, "Okay, fine." And he tells Sauron where Barahir and his son and the bandits are hiding. And then Sauron's like, "Dumb bitch, I killed your wife, but I will reunite you with her." And so he kills him immediately, chops off his head. So Sauron knows where they are now hiding. He and his orcs spring a trap. Now, Beren, son of Barahir, is out and about wandering. He's kind of like a Disney princess, because Tolkien talks about how Beren knew the languages of birds and beasts, and he would speak with them. But he's out by the lakeside watching the stars away from their hideout when the trap is sprung. And he hears this fighting, and he comes back and sees that his entire, like, all the bandits and his father have been killed. Berahir has a ring that Finrod Felagund gave to him, gave to Beor the Old as a symbol of their alliance, and it's still on his hand. And Beren is not willing to let the orcs basically take that away. So Beren pursues the orcs, kills a few of them in the night, steals the ring back from the hand they chopped off from his father, and he runs into the wilds. And so he kind of escapes them with this ring. And a fun fact, this ring of Barahir, it passes all the way down to Aragorn. When you hear in the books of Aragorn wearing a ring with 2 serpents on it and a green gemstone, that is the ring of Barahir, which was given to him by Finrod. It's a very old heirloom, probably the oldest heirloom that the race of men has. But yeah, anyway. So, oh, sorry, Raklos. Yeah, so it was given to Barahir for saving Finrod's life during the Battle of Sunflame. So, Beren wanders away over here to Rivel's Well, and finally decides, well, now I gotta go south. So, he does his best to escape the forces of Sauron, and so he flees into the arid Gorgoroth, the Mountains of Terror. And that is where, if you recall, Ungoliant the Spider made her abode after she fled from him, and she kind of ate herself to death. But her children still live there, the many spiders, kind of like Shelob, and they all live there. And there are many almost like dark and dangerous things that we never find out about, because Tolkien says that Beren never speaks of his journeys through arid Gorgoroth and Nan Dungortheb. He does not speak of the terrors he sees. But he finally manages to get through it after long wandering and enters the Forest of Neldareth. Now, this is very interesting because the Forest of Neldareth is guarded by the magical barrier known as the Girdle of Melian, which Melian the Maya, the Queen of Doriath, kind of set up around the Forest of Region and the Forest of Neldareth as kind of a ward against anything evil. And essentially, the girdle also keeps out anyone who, essentially, Thingol and Melian do not want entering their realm. But it doesn't stop Beren, because he is driven by fate. He is fated to enter into Neldareth. So he comes into Neldareth, and there he sees Luthien. From far away, he sees her dancing. And he quickly kind of calls out, "Tenuviel!" No, wait, he doesn't. He tries to approach her, but she flees him. And for, I believe, an entire, like, from autumn to winter to spring, he's like, pursuing her because she's so beautiful. And he just wishes to just stand in her presence. So he follows her through the woods, and she keeps evading him because, like, these are her woods, essentially. She's the princess of Doriath. She can't really be touched here. And she's always dancing and singing, and he's always kind of brought in by that. But then, eventually, he catches up with her, and then he cries out, "Tenuviel, Tenuviel!" And she sees him, and their eyes lock, and it's love at first sight, apparently. But they just kind of stay together for a time in Neldareth, until eventually she takes him to her parents in Menegroth, and presents him to Thingol herself, almost like an honored guest. Now, Thingol doesn't care for humans. He doesn't hate them, but he's also like, these are lesser beings. They're not allowed in Doriath. Don't be silly. I don't trust them. And so, but she, like, introduces Beren like an honored guest. And they talk about how they're in love, and how they want to get married, and how they need Thingol's blessing to do so. And so Thingol is thinking to himself. And Melian kind of hints, like, come on, it's your daughter. let it be. But he goes, all right, if you want to marry my daughter, you're going to have to bring me something. Bring me a Silmaril from Morgoth's crown. And at that, Melian kind of just goes like this, because by invoking the desire of a Silmaril, ordering someone to bring him a Silmaril, he is now entrapping himself in the doom of Mandos, which essentially surrounds the Silmarils themselves. And, of course, will then, if he, gets a Silmaril, the Sons of Feanor are going to be fucking pissed, because they're like, anyone who claims to have a Silmaril that isn't, one of us, we're going to fucking go after them, even if they're just elves and men and dwarves. It's ours. No one else's. But Beren goes, fine, I will. And so he sets out, and Luthien wants to come with him. But instead, she is essentially put in a treehouse by Thingol, so she won't follow Beren. And, she's basically imprisoned there. Classic, Rapunzel style. Imprisoned in a tower. And so, Beren heads out through Region. He comes through here, comes along there. He is captured. He goes into the secret realm of Nargothrond, and he kind of raises up his ring, because Finrod gave Barahir the ring for saving his life, and he's like, if ever someone comes back to me wearing this ring in need of aid, I will give it to them, because you saved my life, and I will help. I'm sworn to help whoever has this ring. So he comes to Nargothrond seeking aid, and Finrod is there. But Finrod is not the only one there. Celegorm and Curufin, the sons of Feanor, have now kind of taken up residence in Nargothrond, now that their their territory in Himlad has been overrun by orcs. Now, they have become fucking pissed at all this shit. And so... Oh, wait. I gotta double check some stuff. Sorry. This is so fucking... But yeah, okay, sorry. But Celegorm and Curufin, they've kind of... The people of Nargothrond, because they're very charismatic, the people of Nargothrond have started listening more to them than King Finrod. And so Finrod kind of goes, I don't know how much help I can give you, but I will try. We got to be careful, because these guys are fucking crazy. And if they, we can try. And so he declares before, the elves at a feast, hey, Beren is trying to get a Silmaril. Oh, wait. Okay, yeah. So Finrod goes, yeah, this is Beren, his son, this is Beren, his dad, Barahir, saved my life. I'm indebted to him, and he is looking to reclaim a Silmaril for King Thingol in order to win the hand of Luthien Tenuviel. I am sworn to help them, and so I will. But Celegorm and Curufin are like, yeah, if you fucking do that, we're gonna fucking kill you. And Finrod goes, get your shit out of here. This is my land. You're not gonna, fucking do that. But, yeah. But, essentially, the people of Nargothrond turn against Finrod, because essentially Celegorm and Curufin have convinced them that getting a Silmaril from him helping him get a Silmaril will just bring untold devastation to the elves of Nargothrond. So Finrod only finds like a few willing to help him and Beren, and he goes, "All right, fine. We'll go. I'll go myself and help you out." So they travel north, head like on their way, going to Ithel Ivrin, and they reach Tol Sirion. Now, they're trying to get past Tol Sirion, which has become Sauron's watchtower, and Sauron is there then. And so Finrod and Beren Finrod kind of disguises them all using his magic to look like orcs. However, this party of orcs, like Sauron, like sees them, and he's like, something's not right. So he orders them waylaid and brought to him. And as he is kind of overlooking them, he like sings a song of revealing, which, if you remember, singing is a big part of the magic system of Tolkien's world. So Sauron is singing a song of revealing to like bring down any spells that might be concealing who they are. But Finrod sings back, and it maintains the covering, and there's this song battle between Sauron and Finrod, back and forth, back and forth. But finally, Sauron has the mastery, and he reveals Finrod, Beren, and his companions for what they are, and he throws them in prison, because he doesn't know who they are exactly. All he knows is this one elf is super powerful enough to have tried to contend with him. And so he's barely like acknowledging Beren, because he's just a human, but he's like questioning them, like, who is this powerful elf who you are traveling with, and what is your purpose? But the elves won't talk. And so like every night he sends a werewolf into the dungeon to devour one of the elves until they reveal who Finrod is. So while that's all happening, Luthien is stuck in her little tower, and she's so fucking worried about Beren, and she's like, fuck it, I'm not going to stick around here. So she sings a song that makes her hair grow, and she uses her hair to scale out of this tree house she's basically been trapped in. And she basically follows Beren's path and arrives in Nargothrond. Now at this point, Celegorm and Curufin have kind of set themselves up as the lords of Nargothrond, even though technically Finrod's brother Orodreth was put in charge. But yeah, so she gets to Nargothrond, and she hears that she's like, where's Beren, and where's Finrod? Finrod's supposed to be king. Where's Finrod? But Celegorm and Curufin, they're like, oh, well, they went away, and they're probably dead. But you know what? You can marry Celegorm. And she's like, the fuck I will. And they're like, no, you don't have a choice in the matter. Because if we marry you, and something happens to Thingol, we have Doriath on our side. We're going to have a massive force, and the fact that she's the most beautiful woman in the world, basically, it's getting kind of rapey. So they imprison her in Nargothrond and don't let her out. But Celegorm has this massive dog called Huan. Huan is a magical dog, basically, from the west, who Celegorm brought with him. He's a hunting hound of Orome. And Orome gifted him to Celegorm because they were good friends back in the west, and he loved hunting. So Huan, it is dictated that Huan can listen in on Huan is very intelligent. He can understand speech, and 3 times it is fated that he will have the ability to speak. So I'm actually going to read this portion. Uh, yes. Uh, yeah, so she's locked away. But Huan the Hound was true of heart, and the love of Luthien had fallen upon him in the first hour of their meeting, and he grieved at her captivity. Therefore he came often to her chamber, and at night he lay before her door, for he felt that evil had come to Nargothrond. Luthien spoke often to Huan in her loneliness, telling him of Beren, who was the friend of all birds and beasts that did not serve Morgoth, and Huan understood all that was said, for he comprehended the speech of all things with voice. But it was permitted to him thrice only ere his death to speak with words. Now Huan devised a plan for the aid of Luthien, and coming at a time of night he brought her a cloak, and for the first time he spoke, giving her counsel. Then he led her by secret ways out of Nargothrond, and they fled north together. And he humbled his pride, and suffered her to ride upon him in the fashion of a steed, even as the orcs did at times upon great wolves. Thus they made great speed, for Huan was swift and tireless. So yeah. Huan is this magical dog that Luthien gets basically as her animal companion. And she rides him, and they follow the trail of Beren and Finrod until they reach Tol Sirion, the island of werewolves. And at the bridge to Tol Sirion, Luthien sings a song. Wait, before they get there, the elves have been slowly being devoured by this werewolf one by one, until finally it's just Finrod and Beren, and the werewolf is sent to basically eat Beren, unless he gives up who Finrod is. But as the werewolf is bearing down on Beren, Finrod basically wrestles the werewolf away, and he fights the werewolf with his bare hands until eventually he just snaps the werewolf's neck. But however, he's been so mortally wounded that he has essentially been that he is going to die, and so he says goodbye to Beren, apologizes that he couldn't do more, and then he dies. Beren is so grieved by this that he kind of falls into a forgetful sleep. At this point, Luthien and Huan arrive at the bridge leading to the island. And Sauron sees them there, and so he sends a werewolf to investigate, and Huan quietly kills the werewolf before it can get to Luthien. And then he kills another, and then he kills another, and Sauron keeps sending these werewolves one at a time, which is kind of stupid, until finally he sends 2 werewolves, and he kills one and wounds the other, but the wounded one returns to Sauron and says Huan is there. Now, Huan is kind of famous in the West because there was a prophecy about him, not only that he would be permitted to speak 3 times, but that he would only die at the hands of the greatest wolf there has ever been. So Sauron goes, piece of cake, and he transforms himself into a werewolf. And so, essentially, he kind of comes to attack Huan, and he and Huan do battle, and he kind of knocks Huan away, but just as he is kind of bearing down on Luthien, she throws her cloak over his face, and he falls asleep. And she kind of tells him, hey, go the fuck to sleep. And he kind of passes out. No, wait, that's not how it happens. Sorry. Sorry about that. Oh, no! Yeah, it kind of is his persona. Damn it. I didn't want to think about that. I didn't want to think about this. Thinking, horrific. Anyway. So, that's terrible. Anyway. Sauron and Huan do battle. And as they're fighting, eventually Huan gets the better of Sauron and just catches him in his teeth. and Sauron tries to shapeshift out of it, but every time, like, Huan is just, like, bearing down on his neck with his teeth. And so Luthien's like, look, I will let you go, but you have to forsake this entire island to me. You have to surrender it to me. And he's like, no, I won't do it. And she's like, okay, well, fine. Because if you don't, Huan here will kill this form, and you're going to have to fly back as a naked spirit back to Morgoth, where you'll be even more ashamed. And so finally, Sauron kind of submits, and he surrenders the island to her, and then he flees off in the form of a massive bat. And she then kind of uses her control, her singing. She is one of the more powerful magical singers in this world. And she uses her singing to kind of break down the walls of the tower and open up the dungeons, and like a lot of the captives go free because of this. And she searches for Beren and finds him covering Finrod, and she thinks he's dead, and she quickly like gathers him in her arms. And you can see why this would be really much cooler if they were lesbians. But he wakes up, he sees her, and they kiss. And they head south once more. But as they are heading south, I believe... Yes. As they are heading south through here, Celegorm and Curufin were pursuing the trail. And they come across them. And immediately they're just like, we're going to kill Beren, and we're just going to kidnap Luthien. And that's going to be the end of that. And so they ride up on them. And there's this big fight between them. Beren beats the shit out of Curufin. Celegorm is about to shoot him, but Huan like grabs the arrow out of the air, and like they take one of their horses, and they're like, "Ha, you've been beaten." But as they're riding away, Celegorm turns around and shoots his bow at Luthien, but like Beren jumps in front of her and he takes the arrow shot, and they take him back to Doriath. I think she heals him with her tears or some shit. But yeah. So yeah, they get back to Doriath, and like Thingol's like, holy shit, you've done a lot. You guys fucking took down Sauron? Wow, that's impressive. Okay, maybe you're not all bad. You can stay. And so Beren's like, alright, cool. But he doesn't feel comfortable about it. Because he's like, well, this is gonna fucking suck nuts, because I gave my word that I'd bring him a Silmaril in exchange for his daughter, and they're not gonna let, like, I can't, like, lose my honor like that. So he starts to head away, but Luthien follows him, and he brings her back to Menegroth, and he's like, you can't come with me, it's way too dangerous. And she's like, fuck you, it's way too dangerous. I like helped take out a Dark Lord. Fuck you, it's too dangerous. So he basically is like, okay, fine, we'll go together. So they go north together. I believe Huan joins up with them. Yeah, sorry. Huan stayed with them after Celegorm and Curufin helped him, I think. Yeah. So Huan's with... Yes. Yes, Huan forsakes Celegorm to be with Luthien as their faithful dog. So he goes with them up to a point. I think he stays behind. But, yeah. But Luthien and Beren both take the form. Luthien takes the form of a vampire named Thuringwethel, and Beren takes on the appearance of a werewolf. And they go north to kind of sneak into Thangorodrim. Now, when they get there, they find that there is a new door guard of Thangorodrim. When Sauron returns to Morgoth, Morgoth's like, "You fucking idiot!" And Sauron's like, "I'm sorry, there was a really big dog." And Morgoth's like, "Oh, it must be Huan. And he can only be defeated by the most powerful wolf of all time." So he decides to make the most powerful wolf of all time. He takes basically the runt of a litter of wolves that are being bred in Thangorodrim and feeds him with his own hand some dark flesh. And the creature grows big and vicious and mean. And it's like this massive wolf as big as Huan, just guarding the doors of Thangorodrim. Now, as they approach, this wolf is called Karkaroth. Now, as Beren and Luthien approach in their disguises, Karkaroth isn't deceived because he can smell them out. So he's like, "Who goes there?" And so essentially, Luthien sings him to sleep. No, he pounces on her, and then she uses her cloak to kind of put a sleep spell over his eyes, and he falls asleep. And she's like, "You poor thing, sleep and forget now the evils of the world for a little bit of time." So she and Beren sneak into the great fortress of Thangorodrim. It is dark, and they manage to avoid any guards and patrols and come to the very throne room of Morgoth himself. And he's sitting on his great throne, and the 3 Silmarils are on his crown, and he knows they're there, but he doesn't really notice Beren because he's just a guy. But he notices Luthien, who has this powerful aura about her and a singing voice, and she reveals herself to him and says, "I've come to be your minstrel." And he has this dark thought in his mind of like, "Yes, I will keep her here," and also kind of rapey, and it will be like an insult to Thingol. And so he permits her to sing before him, but she sings a song of sleep, so that the entire fortress of Thangorodrim is put into a deep sleep, besides her and Beren. And Morgoth himself kind of like, and he kind of falls out of his throne asleep, and kind of crashes to the floor. Oh my god, Lori, you're right. She did bring out the ASMR. Hey, it's me, Luthien, and welcome back to my ASMR channel. Horrific. Anyway. So Morgoth's asleep. Beren pulls out a magical knife called Angrist. I don't know why I guess because it's prying the Silmarils. And he manages to pry out a Silmaril. And then he's like, "Fuck it, since I'm here, I'm going to get all of them." But as he puts the dagger under the second Silmaril, it snaps. And a bit of the blade snaps off and cuts Morgoth's cheek, and he stirs. So Beren and Luthien are like, "Fuck, we got to get the shit out of here." So they run. But by now, Karkaroth has awoken. And as they're running out of the gates, this massive wolf jumps in front. And Beren has real himbo energy in this, because he just has the Silmaril and he's like, "Ah!" And he kind of holds it up in front of him. And Karkaroth just goes, "How!" and bites off his hand with the Silmaril in it. But because the Silmaril was hollowed by Varda, it will burn the flesh of any evil thing that carries it. So now it's this burning jewel in his belly, and it kind of drives Karkaroth mad. And he flies off in a rage south, just in constant pain, because there's a fire in his belly. And so he runs off. Beren is missing a hand now. He's in pain. Luthien is trying to help him because they got out of there because Morgoth is awake now, and he's stirring the orcs of Thangorodrim, and there's a massive army getting ready to pursue them. When, of course, the eagles are coming, everyone. The eagles swoop down, pick up Luthien and Beren, fly them over Gondolin so they actually get to see where it is, but that doesn't really fucking matter. And they bring them back to Doriath, where they return to Menegroth. And Thingol's like, okay, you said you were going to bring me a fucking Silmaril? Show me it, alright? Put your mind where your mouth is. And Beren says, even now, my hand clutches a Silmaril. And like Thingol's like, okay, show me. And he holds up his stump of a hand. And he's like, yeah, that's right. I technically have the Silmaril. I win. And Thingol's like, okay, well, damn. You lost your hand for my daughter. Fine, cool. You get to, good on you. So, Beren and Luthien are basically set to be married, but by now, Karkaroth has wandered into Doriath, because now the Girdle of Melian ain't worth shit, because it ain't keeping anyone out. Oh, wait, no. It can't keep him out, because he has the Silmaril in his belly, so he's beyond that. So now this massive wolf is causing chaos in Doriath, so Thingol arranges a large hunt to hunt this wolf. And with him goes like Beleg's strongbow and like his other captains. And Beren also accompanies him to help him hunt down this wolf. And as they're hunting this wolf, Huan is with him. And Huan like pursues Karkaroth into some foliage, but Karkaroth manages to get the drop on him, and the wolf leaps and goes to attack Thingol when suddenly Beren gets in the way and stabs at him, but Beren is like cut the shit up. He is fucking annihilated. And so he essentially falls off his horse dying, but Huan jumps out and he and Karkaroth both fight to the death. And Huan like drags himself over to where Beren is lying, and Beren kind of puts his hand on the dog's head, be like, you did good, boy, you did good. And Huan dies, and they cut open Karkaroth, retrieve the Silmaril, and put it in Beren's remaining hand. And they bear both him and Huan back to Menegroth, and Beren dies, and Luthien is distraught, and she refuses to eat, and eventually she just dies of like sorrow a few days later. And she goes to the halls of Mandos, where Beren's spirit is still waiting, because he has refused to leave the world until he sees Luthien again. And this, Tolkien kind of borrows from fucking Greek mythology, in that Luthien sings a song to Mandos, so beautiful and so pure that Mandos is like, okay, fine, you can both return to the land of the living, but if you're going to stay together, you will both become mortal and you will both die. And they're like, cool, fucking A. So they return to Doriath, have a son named Dior, and they live in Doriath for a time until they're like, okay, we're going to retire now. And so Beren and Luthien both retire to Assyriand, to one of these rivers. I think it's the River Thalos. There's a green island that they live on, and they live there. And Dior kind of stays in Doriath as the heir of Thingol. And and then they live there until eventually they both die a second time of old age, and then they leave the world. So, anyway, wow, that was a lot. But yeah, so I think we can all understand that it would be a lot better if they were lesbians. No, we'll get to that, honeybee. We'll get to that. That's not part of Baron and Luthien. I know, Honeybee. I know. But we can't get to the necklace until Turin Turambar gets it. We can't do everything yet. Yes, she does, but we'll get to that, because then we have to talk about Turin Turambar first. We can't get to the necklace. Because fucking Turin and Baron and Luthien are like all happening around the same kind of time. I'm saying they both eventually die. Me getting angry at Honeybee convinced me to fucking take another drink of water. I did not rank lost. Celebrimbor is the son of Kurufin, and he is living in Nargothrond, but like when he sees all the bad shit his dad's doing, he kind of shuns him. And that's kind of how he stays a decent character. Anyway. So, now for the Nirnaeth Arnoidiad, which is another fucking battle. So, after Baron and Luthien had their little adventure, a few years, I think. Yeah, around that time. Around that time when they bring the Silmaril back to Thingol, Maedhros sees this, and he's like, whoa, maybe Morgoth isn't as impossible to defeat as we thought. Just 2 people were able to infiltrate his throne room, put him to sleep, and steal a whole fucking Silmaril from him. If we united, we could probably take him out. So he sends messages here and there. He sends messages to Doriath. Messages are heard in Gondolin. They aren't specifically sent to Gondolin because no one knows where Gondolin is. Messages sent to Nargothrond and Hithlum. Maedhros is like, hey, Fingon, remember how we're gay for each other? Well, also, we should fight a war together, huh? And Fingon's like, okay, that's a cool idea. So, also at this time, the Easterlings arrive. 2 tribes of men, I believe. Let me check it out. Because they kind of join Maedhros and back him up. Yes. So there are 2 tribes of Easterlings, one led by a man named Bor, and the other one led by a man named Ulfang. Now, the men under Bor remain faithful, and they are honored by the elves for their service. But in the end, Ulfang is secretly working for Morgoth, and is slowly leaking him information on the plans that the elves and men are making in the north. So, there's this big plan that they will just annihilate the army that is gathering in Anfauglith, and they'll unite together, but they have to wait for a signal, because Maedhros has to still gather all his men, and then he will light a beacon, and then the beacon will be seen in Eithel-Sirion, meaning Fingon should lead his attack, and it's all about timing. They're supposed to crush them between the hammer and the anvil. That's the key. Timing. But Morgoth knows this, so he sends out a delegation outside the walls of Sirion. And with him is a prisoner from the previous battle. Now, this prisoner is a brother of Gelmir, I believe. Oh, yes. His name is Gelmir, and he is the brother of Gwyndor. Gwyndor is basically the elf who led the volunteers from Nargothrond to Sirion, and he's like their captain. And so he sees his brother there, and the orcs say, yeah, we offer you peace. You see, we have a lot more of these guys back where we come from. But if you insist on fighting, this is what will happen to them. And they cut off all his limbs, and then finally they cut off his head, making sure he dies in immense pain. So Gwyndor fucking loses his shit, and he charges down. He breaks formation, and he charges down against these orcs with his Nargothrond volunteers. And so Fingon, seeing that already his men are beginning the charge, decides to commit full on. And so he orders a charge. The forces of Hithlum charge down this mountain. And they actually, almost, the plans of Morgoth are almost led astray, because they jam themselves so far into the army of Morgoth that, the army of Morgoth starts to lose heart. Now, at this point, Mithros finally arrives, and he starts to attack, but Olfang turns on him. And in the chaos, the men, the elves don't know which men are faithful and which ones aren't, so they just start killing men at random. The dwarves of Belagost and Nargothrond have also joined in on this attack, and so they've sided with Mithros. And they wear these battle masks that are made of metal and they better withstand fire than humans and elves do. So when Glaurung and his dragons arrive, the dwarves are able to kind of fight them off. And the Lord of Belagost, in his last act, he wounds Glaurung so deeply that the dragon has to retreat back to Thangorodrim. Now, this entire kind of battle, as it takes place, they're starting to lose. The armies of Morgoth, because the dwarves are disheartened. They've put their king on a bier and are slowly carrying him back south, and they're just completely disheartened. But by then, you hear horns, and it's the forces of Gondolin. Torgon has arrived, and he fights back, but even the forces of Gondolin aren't enough to turn the tide, and they must start a retreat. Now, there are two brothers. No, wait. Is this right? Oh, gosh darn it. My head just isn't in it today. So there are these two brothers called Hurin and Huor, and they are of the house of Marach, and they are sworn to Fingon of Hithlum. Now, in the previous battle, when Turgon brought his forces out... in the previous battle, Hurin and Huor they led a defense of the Fen of Serech, and essentially allowed for... No, wait, that's not it. One sec. What was it? This thing, there's a number, there's a word. All you need to know is that Hurin and Huor, they are the only people outside of Gondolin who know where Gondolin is. And they were, I believe they were taken up by eagles and brought to Gondolin after the first great battle. They were wounded. Turgon let them stay. They became good friends. But then they're like, hey, buddy, we have to go. And he's like, well, I can't just let you go because you know how to get in here. He's like, we only know where it is. We don't know how to get here. And then he's like, okay, well, all right. If the Eagles are willing to take you back, they will. And so they know about Gondolin. They're friends with Turgon. I know, Antonia. This is... if only I had a Baja Blast. This would be so much better. Yeah. I also didn't get that much sleep last night, so that probably doesn't help. But anyway. Anywho. So. Turgon leads his forces out of Gondolin. Húrin and Huor are like, hey, we're gonna defend you. Get back to Gondolin. Because Fingon, he dies a horrific death. Like, he gets essentially, like, annihilated by Gothmog, the Lord of Balrogs. And, like, his body is, like, broken and trampled so that, like, his banner is just covered in his blood. It's really kind of, like, a lot of the pictures you see of Fingon are of his last stand because he's famous for just getting fucking wrecked. Anyway. So, Húrin and Huor will and their human warriors, they will defend fucking they will defend Tuor as he and the Gondolindrim retreat back into Gondolin. And he says, as long as, like, Húrin says, as long as you're still alive, Morgoth will know fear. So, Húrin and Huor make a final stand at the Fen of Serech. They're killing so many orcs, but Huor is killed and Húrin is taken prisoner. And Morgoth is like, I know you know where Gondolin is, so fucking tell me. And he's like, go to hell. And he's like, we'll see. And that will play a part later. And so, so Húrin has a son named Túrin. And Túrin is just a young boy when this battle happens. His dad has been taken captive. They think he's dead. The Easterlings who fought for Morgoth have been given Hithlum because now they're kind of trapped by these mountains because Morgoth doesn't trust humans. And so, as this is all happening, oh god, my brain is not functioning today. I don't know if today's a good day for this, guys. I don't want to cut it short because I feel like I'd be cheating you. I gotta make sure. Oh god, why are they going so many directions? God, and it's just listing a lot of names. We're already confused, Bethany, but thanks for joining us. Alright, so. Yeah, so the Easterlings are oppressing the House of Hador, the people who have been already living here. And Túrin's mother is like, holy shit, they're gonna kill him. So she sends him away to be cared for by Thingol. Now, she manages to get away with this because she is a kinswoman of Beren, who fled Dorthonion before it was completely ruined. And so she's like, technically we're related to his son-in-law. he should take care of you. And at this point, Thingol has kind of opened up to the idea of humans, and Turin gets to Menegroth, and he's like, hey, my mom sent me to be taken care of, and Thingol's like, cool, you're my son now. And so he, like, gives Turin great honor, and he's like, look how cool this guy is, I really like this guy. Well, there's another elf who is, who just does not like him. His name is... Yes, Seros. And he's fucking racist to humans. And he's like, man, Turin looks like shit. I wonder what the women of his species look like. They probably look like shit too. And Turin, like, grabs a fucking drinking glass and just chucks it at this guy's head and wounds him. And so Seros is like, oh, I'm gonna get even with this motherfucker. So he waits for Turin to be out on a hike in the woods, and he waylays him. But Turin just fucking takes the blade and chases, like, makes him strip, and then chases him through the woods like a hunted beast until Seros jumps, like is basically run off a cliff and breaks his body on the rocks below. And some elves are there who witness this, and Turin's like, oh shit, I'm gonna be fucking in trouble for this. So he runs away. But then Thingol sends Beleg Cuthalion, Beleg Strongbow, who is pretty much gay for Turin. Goblin Gate. Jeez, I can't handle you guys right now. So essentially, Beleg is like, come back. Alright, babe, come on. Let's go back to Thingol. He loves you. Come on, we'll get the sword out. And he brings him back to Menegroth, and essentially, Thingol's like, yeah, no, it's fine. You're perfectly fine. Alright? Cool. Calm down. Everything's going to be okay. I forgive you. There's no need to worry. Alright? We're just gonna relax, and you are going to just not worry about this. Like, I totally pardon you. Seros was a dick. He deserved it. But Turin's like, no, I'm not worthy of your home. I am an outlaw now. Everyone's so fucking dramatic in these. Everyone's just so fucking dramatic. Alright, Raklos, then you do a Drunkmarillion. Oh, Turin never returns to Menegroth. Okay. Well, he heads to Anamon Ruth, where he kind of sets up a kind of Robin Hood style. Well, not even Robin Hood, because they're robbing everyone, not just rich people. But he, like, kind of gathers a bunch of merry men in the woods one day. Well, not on Amon Ruth yet. Okay, so they're in the woods, and they shoot at a fucking... they see some dwarves, and they shoot at them. And they capture one of them and shoot at another. But the other one escapes. And the one they talk to says his name is Meme. Now, he is a petty dwarf, meaning he doesn't belong to any of the dwarf clans. He is not allowed in Belagost and Nogrod for some reason. The petty dwarves once lived, were quite spread out in Belriand until the Sindarin elves started hunting them because they didn't know what they were. And so Meme is like, hey, if you let me live, I will take you to my secret home, and that can be your secret hideout. And then we can call ourselves even. It'll be the House of Ransom. And so Turin's like, okay, let's go. And so Turin goes with him to Amon Ruth, and he essentially is like, I am going to fuck. 1 sec. Give me a minute. Did anyone else see that I permitted the term because he's gay? Maybe. Okay, great. Cool. It is a painful task. It hurts so badly. Alright, so. Ugh. This body of mine. So, Turin, essentially, he and his men are led by Meme back to Aman-Ruth, and it's revealed that the dwarf they were shooting at was his son, and his other son shows him that he is dead, and Meme is like fucking pissed. But Turin is like, "Hey, I'm sorry we killed your son," and he's like, "That's okay." He's like, "You speak truly honorably, like a dwarf sire of old." And like, I don't know, he does like a really good apology apparently, to the point where Meme's like, "Hey, I'm not too upset about my son now, but you know, whatever." So Turin and his band start purposefully only targeting orcs at this point. And there are plenty of orcs coming through the pass of Anach, and they're constantly making trouble around the forests of Brethil. Now remember, the Haladin, the people of Haleth, like, she led her people to live here in the forests of Brethil, so they're being harried by these things too. So, Beleg finally he's like, "Thingol, I'm so fucking gay. Can I go see Turin and maybe convince him to help us out?" And he's like, "Okay, fine, if that's what you want." So he comes to Aman-Ruth, and he does his best to convince Turin to aid him, but Turin is like, "Nah, I'm already hunting orcs here. This is fine." And so he's like, "Okay, well, I guess I won't press too hard for it, but I'm going to stay with you because I'm Beleg and because I'm fucking gay." So as they are constantly raiding, again, Sauron is like, "Oh man, another fucking human is..." Alright, how'd I mess it up, Raklos? Read me the story. Read me the story, Raklos. Wasn't it Sauron? Was it Sauron who's put in charge of the fucking finding him and his orcs? I think you're missing the point of this being Drunkmarillion, in that I don't know. What do you mean Sauron is gone? What the fuck do you mean? Getting mad at me. I can't not be limp. Enough of your implications. Okay, fine, Raklos. So it isn't Sauron. It's orcs. Oh, wait. Now I remember. The orcs capture Meme one day. And Meme, being the little bitch he is like, I will ransom it and bring you back to where the fucking Turin is. And the orcs are like, "That sounds great." So he leads them back by cover of night to his secret home under Aman-Ruth. And the orcs basically kill all of the fucking outlaws, capture Turin, and drag him away as prisoner to present to Morgoth. But Beleg, he only pretended to be dead. And he fucking, like, I don't know, I think he fucking roundhouse kicks Meme or some shit. And then goes after his boyfriend. And as he follows the trail of Turin, they go up the pass of Anach, and in Dorthonion he comes across Gwyndor, the elf who led the charge at the previous battle, the one who saw his brother just get just destroyed. And so Beleg's like, "Hey buddy, are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah." Except Morgoth has this thing where he's convinced some of the prisoners to be traitors, and then he lets them go. So people just don't trust people when you're let go by Morgoth, because they automatically think you're a traitor. So now no one really gives a shit about me, and everything sucks, and I'm fucking emaciated as shit, because I can't really eat that much, because I face so much fucking torture in Thangorodrim. And Beleg's like, "Oh man, that's rough, buddy. Hey, want to help me get my boyfriend back?" And Gwyndor's like, "Boy, would I." So the two follow Turin. And like at this point right here, they catch up to the orcs where they are sleeping. And Turin's is constantly being like harassed by the orcs and like tortured. And so they sneak up and, I forgot to tell you all about the fucking cool magic sword Beleg's got. Okay, so you guys fucking remember, let me tell you about this shit. You guys remember fucking Aeol, the dark elf who lived here, who was pretty good buddies with the dwarves? Well, he made 2 black swords. One was his sword, and then the other one he gave to fucking someone else. One sec. Yeah, the black sword he gave to Thingol, and Thingol is like, this sword's fucking cursed. I'm just going to keep it in my treasury, and it's called Anglachel. And when Beleg was going to leave, he's like, Thingol's like, "Thanks for looking after my gay son. Hey, pick any sword, as rent. Fucking Aeol, technically Nan Elmoth belongs to fucking Thingol. So he's like, "Hey, for my landlord, do you accept swords as payment?" And Thingol's like, "Boy, do I." And he fucking takes the sword, and that's his rent for the fucking until he fucking dies, I guess. But it's a fucking cursed sword. But Beleg's like, "It's a cool ass sword. I want it. I'm gonna use it." And and Thingol's like, "Yeah, sure. I don't see how this could go wrong at all." But so Beleg and Gwyndor catch up with the orcs. They're about to. It's like a terrible thunderstorm. Turin is like in a dazed kind of state, and as Beleg puts his sword down and pulls out his knife to cut the ropes that are tied Turin to this tree. But then as he's cutting the ropes, his knife accidentally slips and cuts Turin. And Turin, thinking it is the orcs here to torture him again, grabs the sword and kills Beleg. Just runs him right through, and only discovers it's him when a flash of lightning shows that it's his boyfriend. And Turin is like, "Oh, fuck." And Gwyndor's like, "What the fuck did you do?" And he's like, "I don't know. And so Beleg's like, "Oh, fuck, you're so hot." And then he dies. What the fuck is this? What the fuck am I reading? Oh, and another thing. Beleg gave Turin a dragon helmet from the fucking treasuries of Doriath, so he's known as the dragon helmet now. That's how they knew it was him. It's got some cool shit. Okay. So then, after killing his boyfriend, Turin enters kind of like a fugue state where he doesn't really react to much. He's kind of just shocked that he killed Beleg. And Gwyndor is like, "Dude, we gotta get the fuck out of here." And Turin just doesn't respond because he's kind of out of it now. So Gwyndor helps Beren down along the river, and they eventually come to Eithel Ivrin. And at this little lake here, I think it's like the sound. Oh yeah, fucking Gwyndor makes a song for Beleg, and he sings it, and that's what kind of pulls Turin out of his fugue state. And he's like, "Who are you?" And Gwyndor's like, "Oh, I came from Nargothrond, and I want to kind of go back there. Do you want to come with me?" And he's like, "Yeah, there's not really much else for me anywhere else." And Gwyndor's like, "Cool, I'm Gwyndor," and he's like, "I'm Turin." So they travel together south, and eventually they reach Nargothrond, where Ordodreth is now king of Nargothrond, now that his brother is dead, and Celegorm and Crúthfin are no longer there. And Ordodreth is like, "Gwyndor, I remember you. You had the fucking hots for my daughter, Finduilas." And he's like, "Yeah, I did. I'm back." And he's like, "I brought a guest, and this is Turin. He's fucking kick-ass. He can kill a lot of orcs. You should keep him." So Ordodreth's like, "Hey, cool, you're sticking around." Wait, no, it's not his. He doesn't say his name is Turin. He says his name is fucking. Yes, Turin checked him, saying, "I am Agarwain, the son of Umarth, which means bloodstained, son of ill fate." How fucking emo is that shit? I mean, yeah, he just accidentally killed his boyfriend, but come on. Come on. "Yeah, I am bloodstained, son of ill fate." Yeah, wow. Way to go, bud. You know, you're really winning me over with that poetic cinema. So fucking emo. Ugh. So anyway, where the fuck was I? Also, I like how the font over here doesn't know what the fuck a U is. Wait, yes it does. Tuor's right there. Oh, it's probably because Turin has a little whoop on top of it. The, is it tilde? Is it a tilde? Fuck it, it's a tilde. The little whoop. Whoop. Anyway. No, Ratgloss, that's not it. It's a whoop. Ah, fuck. Red vines are great. If you haven't had red vines, you have not had red vines. Which is an obvious fact there. I'm here to antagonize Ratgloss. That's what I'm here for. Yeah. It certainly wasn't this wine I've been drinking. Or the 2 shots of whiskey I took beforehand. Ratclaw says this is a disaster. Yeah, it was meant to be a disaster. It's the Drunkmarillion. Always drink your water, kids. So, they're in Nargothrond. And the longer they're in Nargothrond, the more Finduilas, who was arranged to be married to Gwyndor, is like, "I want to get some of that human dick." And Gwyndor's like, "Nah, that's not a good idea." And she's like, "You're just mad because I want to fuck Turin." And he's like, "Well, I don't like that either, but he is my friend. But it also is like a bad idea because you don't know who he really is." And she's like, "What's his name?" And he's like, "His name is Turin. It's not really bloodstained, son of ill fate. It's Turin." So, and then like Turin, like she reveals it to Turin, and Turin's like, "What the fuck, dude? You gave away my name? What about my emo persona? That was my whole thing. Now that my name is known here, a curse is on this entire land." Oh, that's another thing I forgot to mention. When Húrin was captured, he was put up on a pinnacle of Thangorodrim, and Morgoth is basically like, "I curse you. You and your offspring are cursed now. That's something I can do. I'm evil. And you're going to sit here and watch everything bad happen to your family because they're cursed now. Because I can do that. Why? Because I'm Morgoth. Fuck you." And that's kind of what he does. So yeah, Morgoth can just curse people. I don't know why he didn't curse everyone at that point. If he can call down curses on a specific person, why has he not used curses before? Huh? What about that, John? Anyway, what the fuck was I on about? Oh, right. So, anyway, at this point, Nargothrond, Orodreth builds a bridge so that the armies of Nargothrond can leave it more often, because it's right by a river, and the only way to get into the caves is either through the secret path, or they build a bridge so they can actually move an army across it to fight. But fucking Ulmo was like, "That's not a good idea, bro." But Turin's like, "Yeah, let's fucking take on the orcs. I will lead these armies of Nargothrond to fucking victory." And so he constantly does that, and so everyone's like, "Hey, this is cool." But then at that point, Glaurung, the first dragon, who doesn't have wings, so he's not as cool, is sent by Morgoth to take out Nargothrond, to find it and destroy it. And so, like, as word gets out that he's fucking out there, one sec. One sec, I'm regaining my focus. This is the kind of entertainment you tune in for. All freeform. Okay. Fuck. Yes. So the bridge. The bridge is very important because it gives away the position of where Nargothrond is, and it can allow an army to quickly try to attack it. Anyway, so the Glaurung and this whole army are moving south, and Turin goes out to fight them, but Gwyndor's like, "Hey, we really should destroy the bridge." But Turin's like, "Nah, fuck that noise, you shouldn't." And Orodreth's like, "Okay, I'm gonna listen to Turin." And Gwyndor's like, "This is bullshit, this is all bullshit, fuck you." So they all go out to battle. Gwyndor is killed. The battle is lost. Orodreth is killed, and Gwyndor, Turin is taking his body away. Also, Turin has a dwarf mask that he wears. I forgot to add that because he isn't fucking emo already. He wears a dragon helm and a dwarf mask, and it's fucking crazy as shit. Anyway, so he's saving Gwyndor, and Gwyndor is like, "Quick, go save Finduilas, and if you don't save her, you're fucked, because your fate is tied with hers for some reason. I don't know. She wants to fuck you too. Maybe you should. It's probably for the best. I'm gonna die now. Goodbye." And then Gwyndor dies. And Turin's like, "No, my friend!" And then he rides back to Nargothrond to try and save Finduilas. However, in that time, it was all a feint. It wasn't the full force of the orcs. Glaurung was leading another army, and he saw where the Nargothrond army was leaving from. And he attacked, and he sacked Nargothrond, and he took away a lot of captives. And just as Turin is showing up to attack him, he sees Glaurung, and Glaurung looks him in the eyes, and he's put into a trance. And Glaurung just kind of holds him there with his eyes, with his eye vision. His eye vision, as opposed to his butt vision. I don't know. His eye vision, he holds him there. And Turin is kind of has his sword up and is like, oh. And the elven captives are being led away. And Finduilas is one of the elven captives. And she cries out to him, but he can't do anything because he's in the eye vision. Guys, this is truly the Drunkmarillion of the Drunkmarillion. Probably because I didn't eat that much today, so it's all going right to my head. God, I'll probably eat so much fucking McDonald's after this. I'm gonna need some recovery food. Anyway. So, so Glaurung is like, hey, bitch, you better chase after them. There they go. I'm a big scary dragon. I'm gonna stay here and I'm gonna have all this gold, but we're gonna meet again, buddy, because it's fated, because fate is a thing, and also you're cursed because your curses are a thing, but I don't know if they really are. Anyway, you better go save that elf chick before she dies. Bye. And then he releases Turin. Fuck. Turin. Anyway, so Turin is like, oh shit, I gotta go save Finduilas. So he runs after her. He keeps following them, and he gets to he gets to a point up here where is that? Guys, stop mocking me. I'm drunk. I'm gonna eat this red vine. Anyway. Yeah, but the path leads up to Dorloman. Why does it lead up to Dorloman? I thought you pursued them, they bury them. What the fuck is that shit? Let me look at this. Let me look at the book. Oh. Yeah. Check up on mom and sister. Yes, I know his family, Honeybee and Ratclaws. I'm gonna get to that. I just forgot he went up there. Anyway. Oh! This is why. Okay. The dragon doesn't say you better chase the elf chick. Gwyndor says you better chase the elf chick. But the fucking dragon's like, oh, you better check up on your family. I heard they're not doing too good. I'm a dragon. You better not trust what I say, but I got that eye vision, so you're going to listen to every fucking word. So he sends him off, and Turin is like, oh shit, I gotta check on my family. So he runs up to Dorloman. He gets there, and he finds a kinswoman of his mom, who is now kind of like a wife of one of the Easterlings. And he like kicks the door in. The Easterlings are like, oh shit, it's a son of fucking Hurin. It's Turion. That's his name. It's Turion. And so he's like, where's my fucking mom? And the woman says, oh, she and her daughter left. Because he had a little sister who was like, I don't know, like 1 or 2 when he left for Doriath initially. And so he's like, oh shit, okay. And so they're like, oh, they went to Doriath, so they're safe. And he's like, oh shit, they went to Doriath, so they're safe. Okay. And then he's like, oh shit, Finduilas. So then he leaves Dorloman and tries to head off the orcs or wherever, but finds out that they impaled this elf chick on a tree with a spear, because, I don't know, she was yelling or some shit. But the woodmen of Brethil came upon her, and they took pity on her corpse and buried her. And they're like, "Hey, we buried her." Woo! It's good shit. Where was I? There are definitely different vibes to Drunkmarillion. I'll give it that. There was the first vibe, which was kind of rambling, but I kind of knew what I was talking about. But now that we're getting to like the really detailed stories where people are walking fucking everywhere, like there isn't as much of a linear path, I'm fucked. I do need to head. Yep. Burin. Burin, son of Burin, son of Burin. My obsession with Lord of the Rings is a problem. Anyway. So Turin meets up with the woodsmen, and they're like, hey, do you want to come live with us? We're kind of besieged by orcs constantly, and we could use a fighter. And Turin's like, yeah, sure, why not? But my name is... And he changes his fucking name again. He fucking changes his name again. Oh, wait, no. Yeah, sorry. He is, he keeps the name Mormagil, which is Dragon Helm or something. I don't know if it's Turumbar. I think Turumbar is just added on later as an epithet. But yeah, he sticks around with them, and he actually manages to live a somewhat peaceful life in Brethil, being their kind of protector. But his mom and his sister, they've escaped to Menegroth, and then Thingol is like, shit, guys, you're kind of out of luck. He's gone. I sent Beleg after him, but he hasn't returned. I don't know what the fuck happened to him. I think he's in Nargothrond now. And they're like, oh shit, we gotta go get him. So Morwen and her daughter kind of run over here, but over at the... I think it's right here. Or is it over here? Oh, somewhere in these plains there's a big fog that just kind of whoosh comes over them, and they can't see it, and they all get separated. And Morwen is the mom. She gets separated, but Nienor, the daughter, Turin's sister, she's left alone. She's like 20 or 21. And fucking... I don't know. Oh god, I don't want to... Why'd you clip this shit, honeybee? Why'd you clip... I gotta watch this, sorry, 1 second. 1 second. Let me watch me. Okay, cool. At least you caught the truth. Where was I? So yeah, his sister is separated from all of them, and out of the mist comes Glaurung with his eye vision. And he catches her in his eye vision and like fills her mind with forgetfulness and darkness, so that she just gets scared and runs away. She flees into Brethil, where the woodsmen find her, but she can't really speak. Turin finds her, actually. Turin finds her. She's naked on a barrow because, like, I don't know, living in the wild, she got scared. Her clothes got ripped off or something. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Anyway. You should have clipped eye vision. That's the best shit, honeybee. Anyway. Fuck. Yeah. Could use another sip of wine. Ooh. It's not slurred, Olive. It's just not 100% there. See, I'm washing it down with the Watt tray. Anywho. So, he finds her. He puts a cloak around her, and she'll only stay with him because she feels safe around him. Kind of weird. He takes her back to the village where they're living, and they fall in love, and eventually they get married, and it's kind of fucking weird, but she doesn't know it's him, and he doesn't know it's her, so it's kind of okay. So yeah, they literally get married, she gets pregnant, and you're just like, and it's just like, everything is so fucking uncomfortable. And yeah, so around this time, Glaurung gets bored of living in Nargothrond, and he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna go cause some mischief. And he gets up and starts heading towards the forest of Brethil. And word comes to the woodsman that Glaurung is coming, and because he's a dragon, woods are not particularly good defenses against him. So Turin's like, nah, we can take him. We'll stop him at the ravines of Teglin. Chrissy Teiglin. And so he like is like, who will like help me kill Glaurung? And only one of them, I think, says, I will. Their leader, who's a poor crippled guy, he's like, you guys are fucking stupid. This is gonna get us all killed. You should all listen to me. But everyone's like, no, we're not, because you're crippled. And he's like, wow, that's shitty of you. But he's also in love with Nienor. But she's like, no, I'm fucking my not remembered brother. So no, piss off. But she leads like a bunch of the people of the woodsmen to follow Turin. Because she's like, what the fuck? Why did he just leave? I need to be with him. So he and his friend sneak up on Glaurung while he's sleeping. Oh, by the way, Turin still has this cursed black sword. Why are people keeping this cursed black sword? It can talk. Anyway. So yeah, they follow him. His friend gets killed by like falling rocks or some shit. It's really anticlimactic, and you're like, John, did you really need this secondary character just to die? And John's like, yes, it's the lore, and you're like, okay, Jesus fuck. Anyway, so Turin, he fucking stabs Glaurung, but because dragons are apparently inherently toxic, his like fumes like make Turin like or like some of his blood gets on Turin or some shit, and he dies. And Nienor comes across fucking Turin, and she's like, oh, Turin, my beloved. But Glaurung's like, psych, it's your brother. I made you forget, and now you're preggers with your brother's baby. Ha, I'm a dick dragon. And then he dies. And then Nianor's like, well, there's only one way out of this. And she throws herself off a ravine, and she's never found again because, you know, she fucking died. Turin wakes up. The leader of the woodsmen, I think his fucking name is Hador. I want to say it's Hador. No, it's not Hador. What's his name? His name. What's his name? His name is something. Who is this motherfucker? Brandir. His name is Brandir. Okay. Yep. His name is Brandir. And Brandir, he's the crippled leader of the woodsmen, but he overheard all of this. And he goes back to the people. He's like, guys, you won't fucking believe it. Nienor is actually Turin's sister, and they fucked, and everything's bad. But luckily, they're both dead because he only saw Turin was knocked out. He didn't see he was actually still... He thought he was dead. He didn't realize he was still alive. But Turin, like, wakes up. He can't find Nienor, and so he goes to this group of people. He's like, why are you all here? Where's Nienor? And Brandir is like, she killed herself because she found out she was your sister, and, like, you know, that's kind of upsetting to find out. And Turin's like, oh, you're a fucking liar, and he kills him. And but then, like, he like, how does he discover the truth? How does he admit that it's real? Oh, yeah. So Mablung and Beleg were both captains of Doriath. So Mablung, as like Turin is like mourning his wife. Mablung shows up and he's like, dude, we've been looking for you everywhere. We found you. Did you find your mom and sister? He's like, where? He's like, yeah, they came here and then they went away towards Nargothrond, but we never saw them again. And he's like, oh shit. And he's like, well, this is bad. So he, like, talks to the fucking sword. What's it say? Then he fled from them like the wind, and they were amazed, wondering what madness had seized him, and they followed after him. But Turin far outran them, and he came to Cabed and Anras, and heard the roaring of the water, and saw that all the leaves fell sere from the trees, as though winter had come. There he drew forth his sword, that now alone remained to him of all his possessions, and he said, Hail, Gurthang! Its name was Gurthang, not Anglakel. His name was Gurthang, which is even worse. That's even more of an evil sword name. Why the fuck are you wielding it? Hail, Gurthang! No lord or loyalty dost thou know, save the hand that wieldeth thee. From no blood wilt thou shrink. Wilt thou therefore take Turin Turambar? Wilt thou slay me swiftly? And from the blade a cold voice said in answer, Yea, I will drink thy blood gladly, that I so may forget the blood of Beleg, my master, and the blood of Brandir, slain unjustly. I will slay thee swiftly. And then Turin set the hilts upon the ground and cast himself upon the point of Gurthang, and the black blade took his life. Fuck. What? So yeah, that's the end of Turin Turambar. It's been 2 hours now. We're definitely gonna have to do a part 3. I don't know if I can continue. Oh god. So Turin kills himself. And that's technically the end of Turin Turambar. The next chapter is of the ruin of Doriath. Say what happens to Hurin? Yeah, okay, fine, I will. So, Hurin sees all of this because Morgoth is like, with my eyes you shall see, and with my ears you shall hear, and you will know that I am the true Lord of Arda, yada yada yada. So Hurin sees his son fuck his daughter, and sees them both die, and his house brought to ruin, and then Morgoth's like, ah, bitch, okay, off you go. And he releases him, and so he sends with him like a big army of, not an army, but like a company of orcs to protect him. So that when he leaves, it looks like he's a servant of Morgoth and not like no longer to be trusted. So like when he comes to fucking Hithlum to ask what happened to his family, no one trusts him. So then he leaves and he stands outside of Gondolin and he's like, Torgon, where the fuck are you? But Torgon gives no answer because he's like, perhaps his mind has been broken. He's here to betray us. But then the eagles like come back, and he has like a fucking like second hand like thought, and he's like, okay, go get him. He's my friend of old. But Húrin is gone at that point. Húrin goes south to Nargothrond, and in the ruins of Nargothrond he finds Mime the dwarf, who is like going through all the treasure because Glaurung is dead and his treasure hoard is now free. And Mime's like, the fuck are you doing here? This is dwarven land. And he's like, no, it's not, it's Nargothrond. And Mime's like, nah, petty dwarves lived here before. And he's like, okay, well, what are you doing with all this gold? This is all elven gold. He's like, well, it's mine now. And Húrin's like, bitch, and he kills Mime. And he takes from the treasure hoard of Nargothrond the Nauglamir. The Nauglamir is a beautiful necklace that the dwarves of the Blue Mountains created for Finrod Felagund as kind of their kind of a cool thing they gave him because they were good buds. And Nauglamir literally I think means like dwarf necklace. But now he takes the Nauglamir and he goes to Doriath, having seen everything that happened, and he throws the fucking Nauglamir at Thingol, and he's like, here's your price for keeping my fucking family safe, dick. And Melian's like, hey, cool it. We did everything in our power to make sure they were safe. It was by their choices that they did it. And Húrin's like, oh shit, you're probably right. So he picks up the Nauglamir and he respectfully offers it to Thingol, and he's like, everything sucks, I'm sorry. And Thingol's like, okay, no worries, just go in peace. And he goes away to where the tomb, where like the gravestone of Turin and Nienor is, and Morwen is waiting there, his wife, and she's like, did you see that shit? He's like, I saw that shit. And she's like, I'm gonna die tonight. And he's like, I know. And so she dies, he buries her, and then he wanders off, never to be seen again. And yeah, I guess at this point I can continue. I'll just do the Ruin of Doriath as well. So Thingol gets the fucking Nauglamir, and he's like, oh shit, it would be really fucking cool if I fucking infused the Silmaril with the Nauglamir and made the most kick-ass piece of jewelry ever. So the dwarves are constantly coming like to trade in Doriath and stuff. And so like a company of dwarves are currently living in Menegroth. And he's like, hey, can you guys craft this for me? And they're like, hell yeah, man, we love crafting. We can do that shit. And he's like, I'll pay you well. And they're like, oh yeah, no worries, man, we can do it. And so they combine the Silmaril and the Nauglamir together so that it looks beautiful. It looks amazing. But once they create it, the beauty of the Silmaril and the Nauglamir together is so much that they're like, wait a minute, why are we giving it to this elf? Technically, the Nauglamir is dwarven property that we gifted to Finrod, but he died and he didn't give it to you. So why are we giving it to you? No, we're keeping it. And Thingol's like, you're fucking short, and then they kill him. They just beat Thingol to death with like their crafting tools, and then they flee. But the elves catch them and quickly kill them. But like one or two escape to Nogrod, which is where they came from. And like they're like, we gotta go to war now. And they're like, yeah, we're going to war. And then they ask Belagos to go to war with them. But Belagos is like, are you fucking high? No, we're not going to war. You shouldn't go to war. But the dwarves of Nogrod are like, nah, we're going to war. We're going to kill some elves. So they get ready to march on Doriath. Melian is in fucking mourning. The girdle of Melian isn't stable anymore. And so, like, everything fucking sucks. And she's like, she takes his body away and she leaves Menegroth. And she just kind of lives in the forests until she just kind of vanishes. And so, like, the dwarves arrive, they sack Menegroth, they take a bunch of shit from Doriath, and then start heading home. However, word comes to Baron, who's still living down here somewhere, that his father-in-law just got fucking ganked by dwarves who also fucking robbed him. So he straps on his sword. He summons the green elves of Assyrian who've gotten real close, and they fucking ambush the dwarves here at Sarn Athrad and kill a bunch of them, and a bunch of them flee, but the Ents just kind of come out of Assyrian and kill a bunch of the dwarves, so that no dwarf of that army returns to Nogrod with the spoils. Baron then takes the Nauglamir with the Silmaril still on it, because that's one of the things the dwarves took, brings it back to Luthien. She wears it, and she becomes the most beautiful thing in the world. However, that also makes, like, there's like fucking radiation poisoning coming off it, and like she and Baron die faster because they have it. I don't know. Anyway. Oh. Let me just think for a second. I think the fact that I only got like 5 hours of sleep last night is also playing an effect. Maybe. I'm almost done, Reklos. I'm almost done. I will eat a meal soon. It's only 6:09. Calm down. I had like 4 pieces of matzah today. That's not a good excuse. Anyway, so Dior, the son of Luthien and Baron, goes to Menegroth and kind of becomes the second king of Doriath. There's no girdle now, but he kind of does a good job of protecting it and making sure it's all good. But he, after Luthien and Baron die, the Green Elves send the Nauglamir with the Silmaril to Dior in Menegroth, and they're like, this is yours. So then he starts wearing it, and he's fucking gorgeous. And he then has a daughter named Elwing, which we'll get to later. And that's where I think we're going to stop for now. It's the ASMR portion. Anyway, thank you guys for listening to the Drunkmarillion. Surprisingly, this went weird. But yeah, next week we'll do Journey in the Dark, and then the week after that we'll try to finish up with Drunkmarillion Part 3. I think so. I don't know what I'll drink for that time. I'll find something. I always do. I'll make sure to eat more that day as well. It was I had to go to the dentist today. I couldn't eat for a while because they put some stuff on my teeth that I couldn't eat with it on for like a few hours. So that's why I couldn't eat that much today. But that's my excuse, and I'm sticking with it. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Yes, Journey in the Dark tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Next Tuesday. And thanks for putting up with me, guys. I really do appreciate it. Hope you guys have a good evening. And goodbye.